A lot of people in the frugality space talk about intentional spending, myself included, but what does that actually mean in real life? Today, we're going to talk about intentional spending, what it really is, and how to stop buying things that don't actually add value to your life. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jen. On this channel, we talk about finances, frugality, minimalism, and decluttering. I'm glad you're here. Most of our spending these days is automatic. That is because of habit, boredom, marketing, convenience, things like that. So, habit, you go to the grocery store and you just buy a couple extra things. Marketing, you've seen where there's these sales where you have this one chance to buy this item and you're never going to be able to buy this item again at that price. There's that. Boredom, just scrolling through Amazon and that's convenience as well, putting it in your cart and you can just buy and it just comes to your house. You don't even have to think about it. Another convenience and marketing together would be like when you're in the checkout line and you've got all these things in front of you that are yelling out to you, like, like the magazines that have like the best recipe ever on the cover, and you're like, well, I'm here and oh, I'm checking out now, so I want to look at this, so I'm just going to grab it. Or you're standing at the register and you look at the candy bars and automatically it makes you think, oh, I'm hungry. That sort of thing. That's automatic. That's automatic shopping. When we're talking about intentional spending, what exactly does that mean? Intentional spending means that what you're buying aligns with your values. So if you go to the store and you're just randomly picking up junk, does that align with your value? Does that align with what you want for your life? Intentional spending is also about being thoughtful about your purchases and purchasing what your priority is, what matters most to you. Becoming aware of what you're actually spending your money on is a huge step in the direction of being aware of where your money is actually going and then prioritizing on what matters most to you. I mean, you can be generous when buying things that matter to you, whereas, if you go and spend money on stuff you don't really care about, you could say, well, I'm going to pass up on that opportunity. An example from my life is I care about going to a specific club and hanging out with friends one day a week, and so I set that money aside and I intentionally spend that money in that particular thing. But when people call me up and say, hey, you want to go out to the bar? Do you want to go do this? You want to go do that? If it's really not something that I care about, whereas, this part of my life, I don't care about whether or not I'm going out to the bar. So I'll be like, that doesn't align with my values. It is not something that I really care about. It's not something that is a priority to me. I'll pass up on that, but I have no problem spending money in this other area where it does create value to me. It is a priority for me. Those kind of things are how you would define what intentional spending is for you. Here's some examples of when spending is not intentional. And that would be when you're buying something because it's on sale. You can only get this item for a specific amount of time at this specific sale price, and it's going to go away. I've talked on other videos that I bought a mobile hotspot that was never going to have this price ever again, and well, it's still on sale for the same damn price as it was when I actually bought it. There's that. And another thing that I used to do was keeping up with others. I used to go out a lot. I used to go to almost every single music event that I wanted to go to because my friends were doing it. And I've spoken about this in prior videos as well. I was spending outrageously and uncontrollably trying to keep up with friends that either made more money than me or they had more people in their household to help them cover expenses. That kind of thing, that got very expensive, and that was definitely, I had to take a hard look at my life and decide what really mattered to me. That was what mattered and what was going to be my priority. That was what really brought me into intentional spending. Do you guys notice these kind of patterns? Or is it that you're buying stuff out of boredom? You're just sitting there and you're like, well, I'm going to go on Amazon and just scroll through Amazon and be like, oh, wow, that's cool. Add that to cart. Add that to cart. Do you guys do that? That's spending out of boredom. Another thing would be buying duplicates, and this would be uh, in more of the minimalist area, where do you really need two of this particular item, or can you get away with having one, or do you need more than two of this particular item? It's like saying, okay, do I need to buy 6 bath towels? Well, there's not that many people in this damn house. I usually do laundry once a week, so can I get away with having 2 bath towels instead of buying 6? So look at that, and more of a minimalist lifestyle aspect. Do you need to buy a duplicate of this particular item, or could you just, wash it more? Could you do the laundry more? Could you do the dishes more? Do you need 2 large pots for something, or will one suffice? And when you're done using it, you wash it up and put it away, and then it's ready for the next time you want to use it. Look at that. Recognize recognize that you're actually doing those things and saying, okay, well, yeah, I could wash it immediately when I'm done with it. And then A, it's easier to clean, B, it's clean and put away, and it's ready for the next time you want to use it. That's a win-win. One of the things that really helps me significantly is what I call the pause rule. The pause rule is where you wait a specific amount of time before you actually buy the thing. So, say you're scrolling around in Amazon. I keep wanting to say Facebook. Say you're scrolling around a marketplace or whatever. Say you're scrolling around on Amazon, and you're like, oh, I like this item. I need this item. Yeah, I want this item. Put it in your cart, but don't buy it. Wait. The pause rule is all about waiting. It's put it in your cart and wait for a week, however long, wait for a day. And then when you go back to it, look at it and say, do I really need this item? A lot of things are impulse. If you're at the grocery store and you're standing in line and you see that candy bar right there, can you say, well, you know, I'm I'm about ready to go home and make lunch. Can I wait? Put those items on pause. Put them in your cart. Let them hang out. Let them let them become less valuable. And that's the thing, is it's not necessarily valuable. When I put stuff in my Amazon cart, a lot of times I look at the item and I'm like, it's been in here a week. Do I really need this item? Do I really need to hit checkout on what I have in my cart? A lot of times I'll remove the items and put them in save for later, and then, if it's something that I'm going to want again, I'll check it out at a later date. When you're looking into getting into spending intentionally, think about what your priorities are. What is going to create value? What is going to provide you with a clear definition of, I will buy this thing, I will not buy this thing? What do you what do you want to spend your money on? What's important to you? Is it travel? Is it financial security? Is it a hobby? Is it like home improvement type stuff? Think about what creates value in your life. And a lot of things for me is not necessarily having stuff, but having having travel experiences, having these things I can go to, having that thing I can go to. A lot of things that I'll look at is I liked going to a couple music festivals a year. I like going camping. And, this year I'm like, okay, I'm going to go camping and I'm going to bring my dog camping with me. So those are going to be my priorities for what I spend money on. And that plays a big part in what I'm going to spend money on and what I'm not going to spend money on. So when I'm out in the store, I remind myself, well, I could go and buy these garbagey things that, I'm just going to eat junk food or whatever, or I can save the money instead of picking those things up and putting them in my cart. I can save the money and buy a camping trip for Barlow and I to go on, and we'll have that weekend. And, I would spend the money on something that is going to add more value to my life and that is a priority as opposed to wasting the money on junk. What are your values? Do you want to retire early? Is that something that when you're scrolling through Amazon and putting things in your cart, ask yourself, is this thing that looks great on the wall, is that going to get me towards being financially independent faster? Think of that money that you could put into investing for retirement. It might only be 20, $30. What's 20, $30? You put that in your retirement fund, you invest that. Even if you invest it in a regular brokerage, you're not going to get that on Amazon. You're going to waste that money on Amazon, and then you're going to pay tax, and then you may pay shipping. Or you've got the freaking Amazon Prime. How much is that costing you? Think about that. So remember, when you go into a store, think about intentionally spending. Think about what values you have, and does buying this product add to what you want for the future? That also rolls into some habits I can help you out with to help you intentionally spend. Use the pause rule. Create a wish list of things that you would like to purchase that align with your values. Say you're interested in getting some home improvement done. And I mean, that's some of the things that I've been looking at. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to want to paint the house. So I'm going to put those things and things associated with that on my wish list. Create categories of what your values are. Write them down and list them out so you know. I want to retire early. I want to have financial independence. I want to be able to have FU money so that if I get fired from my job, I don't have to worry about immediately finding a job in a rough economy. I value being able to grow vegetables, so I'm going to have seeds on my list. I value keeping the value of my home, so I'm going to have home improvement on there. Those kind of things. Look at that and make an actual list of what your priorities and values are. Write that list down and put it on your wall. When you're on Amazon, you can look at that list and say, does this item fall in these values that I want for myself? The reality of it is that when we're talking about intentional spending, we're not talking about not ever spending money on anything. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about looking at what actually creates value to you and spending money on the stuff that actually creates value. That's the whole concept behind intentional spending. It supports the lifestyle that you value, that you want. It's not the lifestyle that your friends value. Remind yourself of your values. I hope you found this video helpful. Please hit the like button if you've liked this, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.